Let's explore JavaScript hoisting. It's about how JavaScript moves declarations to the top of their scope during compilation. For example, consider this code. We are trying to print the name variable before it is actually declared and initialized. Instead of throwing an error, it prints undefined. This is because the variable declaration is hoisted to the top. Let's delve deeper into variable hoisting behavior. When using the var keyword, the variable declaration is moved to the top of its scope, but the initialization remains in place. That's why you get undefined when you try to access a var variable before its actual assignment. On the other hand, variables declared with let or const also get hoisted, but they are not accessible before the line they are declared. This period between the start of the scope and the actual declaration is called the temporal dead zone, and accessing variables in this zone results in a reference error. Now let's understand function hoisting in JavaScript. There is a difference between function declarations and function expressions when it comes to hoisting. Function declarations are fully hoisted, meaning you can call the function before its actual declaration in your code, and it will work as expected. However, in the case of function expressions, only the variable declaration part gets hoisted, not the actual function definition. So trying to call a function expression before it's declared will result in an error. Now let's discuss class hoisting in JavaScript. Unlike functions, classes are not hoisted in JavaScript. This means that you cannot use a class before it's declared. Whether it's a class declaration or a class expression, trying to create an instance of a class before its definition will result in a reference error. Let's understand the temporal dead zone, or TDZ. It is the period of time between the start of a scope and the declaration of a variable using let or const. During this phase, even though the variable is hoisted, it is not accessible, and trying to access it will lead to a reference error. After the line of declaration, the variable becomes accessible. Now let's look at some best practices for dealing with hoisting. It's recommended to always declare variables at the top of their scope. This makes your code easier to read and understand. Avoid relying on the hoisting behavior, especially with var, and prefer using let and const. These practices will help you write cleaner and less error-prone JavaScript code. Let's talk about some common hoisting pitfalls to avoid. Function expressions depend on the variable hoisting rules, which means you cannot call a function expression before it is declared. Also, be careful not to mix var with let or const in the same scope, as this can lead to errors. Let's summarize what we have learned about JavaScript hoisting. First, var declarations are hoisted to the top of their scope, but their initializations are not. Function declarations are completely hoisted along with their implementation. Let and const declarations are hoisted, but they remain in the temporal dead zone until their actual declaration. For better code, always declare variables at the top of their scope, prefer let and const over var, declare functions before using them, and be mindful of the temporal dead zone. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.